Tomorrow, horse racing fans will get to witness the 129th edition of Africa's greatest horse race, the Hollywoodbets Durban July, to be held at Greyville Racecourse in Durban. Well, the 5 million rand Grade 1 race over 2,200 meters is scheduled for 4 p.m. and it will be shown to you live on SABC 2. The race was rocked by a late scratching on Tuesday morning, and that's when Michael Roberts' seat again was withdrawn, and that was due to abnormal blood count. We'll find out what that actually means now, because to talk to us about the race, we've roped in Lyall Cooper. He's a much respected horse racing presenter and commentator, and he also calls races on the highveld. And so good morning, Lyall. I mean, you know everything about the sport. We had such a nice conversation off air. You've lived this, breathed this for so many years. What makes the Durban July such a prestigious event in Africa and in South Africa?
Well, firstly, I've got the best job in the world, because horse racing has been my passion since I was 12.
Wow.
And I get to sit and chat about horses all day.
Yeah.
I don't commentate, by the way. Presenting and commentating are actually completely different things.
They are very different skills, yeah.
I don't have that skill set.
I was researching you, and well, it's coming up online that you're also a commentator as well. Oh, okay. So is that in the foray? That's going to be the next step?
To be a commentator, you have to remember all the horses' names. There's no ways I can do that.
You can't do
that. Not a chance. So we talk about the form, the horses, we look at the horses. And yes, the July is the big one. It's the biggest race in Africa. It's an international sporting event.
Yeah.
And the big race, for instance, is a world pool event hosted by a country like Hong Kong, who their turnover is just phenomenal. So everyone bets into our July. And South Africans get a chance to bet into these big pools. And that's well done to the whole team, because they've managed to secure this over the last few years.
Yeah.
It's about the money for the punters. It's about the fashion for the fashionista. And it's about the horses for the purists.
Well, ultimately, I mean, many people still consider these races just about the fashion. And yes, they know that there's some sporting action and some betting action that's taking place. But just reading up about it, it's so fascinating. I always believe that people become more interested in a sport when they understand the sport. And there's probably quite a big barrier to entry in terms of understanding the sport. Let's try and break that down for people. You know, even just start off with the logistics around it when you say it's an international race. What does that mean?
Well, you know, horse racing is a lot simpler than people think. The betting sounds complicated in the beginning, but as you get to know it, it's not that hard.
Okay.
So a horse is born, it's sold at about the age of 2. It then starts running at between 2.5 and 3. It runs up to 7 years old. Then it gets to retire either to stud, show jumping, dressage, whatever. But these animals you're seeing here, these are just, there's Muzieni, by the way. These are unbelievably well-bred thoroughbreds. Anyone who goes to racing stands at the finish line and watches the finish and tells me that does nothing for them. They're lying. You get goosebumps. The speed they travel, the size, the power. It is a very, very big international industry, breeding of horses. Unlike human beings, where you know you can be very pretty and have an ugly child, horse racing doesn't work like that.
Not the case.
The mom is very prevalent in the child, so the sire is extremely important. Without a good sire, and there aren't that many that produce champions, without a good sire, you've got no chance. And the mother obviously is even more important, because the child's very similar to her. So in other words, if the mom and dad are good, the child tends to be good. And this is why horse racing can be expensive to purchase a horse. You can buy a horse for 50,000 rand. You can buy a horse for 150 million rand. If you buy the 150 million rand horse, it'll win. Anyway, I'm going a bit off here.
No, I mean, and it's so fascinating. Unfortunately, we don't have, you know, ample time to go into it. But just as you're speaking, much like other sports, you have a track, and the conditions of that track will influence, you know, who wins, who doesn't win, how play and tactics will then be engaged with. You also have things like strategies that the jockeys would employ. Talk to us about the jockeys. Pierre Stratum was going to join us. You know, he's such a prolific jockey in South Africa. And then you mentioned the weather, and that may have an influence, and actually will most likely have an influence on tomorrow's events or the weekend's events.
I believe it's actually raining right now, and we don't need that, because you know, generally you've got good going, which will be about 21 on the pentometer. When it gets up to about 25, it starts getting soft. 26, 27, soft, heavy, up to 30, very heavy. If it is 30 on the that's the grass, the wetness of the grass. It's very difficult for certain horses to run on in those wet conditions. If it's very dry, like 21, certain horses relish there. So yes, it does come into play. The good news about a race like the July is all these 18 horses that are running are champions in their own right. They can run on both surfaces. It might influence the outcome, but it might not.
Yeah.
Draw is very important, as you mentioned. Jockey, very important, because, as you said, the pace. The pace of a race is very important.
What about the layout? Because Greyville is one of the courses with that right turn, one of the only courses internationally. Is that correct?
You've done your work.
Yeah.
No, not that. It's
Okay.
it's got a very short run-in.
Yes,
That's what makes Greyville difficult.
Difficult.
Only a 450-metre run-in. So if you're too far back, it's very difficult to get there. So jockey, very important. But ultimately, it's the horse. The best horse tends to win if the luck goes their way.
But it doesn't always happen that way,
No, of course
right?
not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's why you want a good jockey, you want a good horse, the conditions to suit. And just by the way, for all of you here, the favourite is number 11, which is 8 on 18.
Okay.
And as soon as I walked in, I saw the studio number 11, I thought, oh, this is a sign.
That's a good sign.
So I think 11, and by the way, it's also the best draw. In 129 years, 11 is the number 1 draw.
Oh, wow.
And your studio is number 11, and 11 is the favourite. Incredible.
So for all our viewers watching that are superstitious, I hope you're making notes.
Yes.
Talk to me quickly before I let you go about stall bias. I found that very interesting in terms of the tactics around the race as well.
Well, normal races, there is always a stall bias, particularly on each course.
Okay.
But in the history of this race, it's very, very weird. Draw 11 and draw 8 are the two best. They shouldn't be, because 11's a little bit out. Draw 1, in fact, is the worst. Now, because of the way they run this July, it's a hard race, it's a tough race, it's the best horses. They fight for position. It's got a short run-in, so all the jockeys try and get good positions. So anyone on the inside, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is theoretically the best, if they don't have speed out the gate, they get crossed over. And their chances are gone.
Okay.
So a lot of horses have actually won from the outside because they follow the group, they get a decent position. In other words, the draw is not that important in the July. In other races, it really is.
I think we need to bring you back. You need to help us understand more about this. It's such a fascinating conversation, and we've run out of time, unfortunately.
Lovely being here. Thank you.
Before I let you go, what predictions are you making for?
I'm very strong in Oriental Charm, number 1, drawn 1. He has gate speed, but the 11s are just popping all over me today, and it's very weird. So I wouldn't put anyone off the favourite, 8 on 18. He's a bit of a superstar. But there are many others that can win. It's a handicap. It's a lovely race. Play with your heart.
Perfect. So Oriental Charm, you heard. 11 is popping out at everyone. So 11, 11, 11, Oriental Charm. But Lyall Cooper, he's a horse racing presenter and expert, just chatting to us about the Durban July taking place tomorrow.